Thank you.
Thank
Hello.
you. Hello.
Welcome to Jay and Tim's Newscast.
Hello, nation. This is the country's #1 rated newscast, Jay and Tim's Newscast.
Yes, that's right, Jay. Our rating grades soar higher than all of the competitors and our peers.
Well said, Tim. In today's news, Hurricane Flora, a massive storm, kills 6,000 in Haiti, Cuba, Trinidad, and Tobago, Grenada. This could certainly be the storm of the century.
Golly gee, Jay. Let's hope the cleanup is a breeze. In other news, Alcatraz, also known as The Rock, has been officially closed by the government.
Good to hear, Tim. Martin Luther King recently delivered a moving speech in the capital of this great nation today, signifying a major advancement in the civil rights movement. Correspondent Tim has the story.
Social pressures continue to mount. Martin Luther King organized peaceful demonstrations in Birmingham, Alabama to protest segregation in public facilities. Many whites responded very angrily. In Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, the Supreme Court struck down the legal support for continuing to have separate but equal educational facilities. The Brown decision meant that white and African American children could not be forced to attend separate public schools.
The government has now issued zip codes that will aid in... What's that? Oh, breaking news. The president has been shot. Correspondent Jay Alpert has the story. Yes, I am here in the heat of Texas, right here at the grassy knoll where President Kennedy was alleged of being shot. We have some eyewitnesses here that claim to have seen the shooter run away and take off with a gun. Now, we're not sure if this is true, but Eyewitness News is on the case. Here with me in Texas, I have Johnny Flenderson, an eyewitness to the murder.
Yes, I saw the guy. He was over there in that grassy knoll, and he shot the president. I'm thinking maybe it could be related to the affiliation with the progressive movements and civil rights. I don't know.
Thank you, Johnny. Back to the studio, Jay. Thank you very much to our field reporters in the field.
Now, even though Kennedy had political reservations, he carried out legislation in other forms of support towards civil rights. This was contradicted by his initial opposition in the late 50s to civil rights legislation. However, in his years as president, he took great strides towards racial equality.
Absolutely true, Tim. As a politician, it seemed an intelligent career move as not to enrage the Southern Dixiecrats. Once he was in office, his reservations were removed, and he carried out his progressive agenda through executive action as planned.
Though JFK was our president and a supporter and activist of the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King Jr. is a notable and eminent leader of the movement.
Montgomery, Alabama, is where the striking has been most prevalent.
From desegregation in the University of Georgia to the widespread freedom rides, the civil rights movement is well underway. We are looking at a major change in the ideals of this nation.
Well, I am getting word from the studio that a man by the name of Lee Harvey Oswald has been identified as a suspect and is in custody of the police. He was found fleeing the scene of the murder, which is said to be carried out with a bolt-action sniper that was later used to slaughter a local police officer.
Everything all right back there, Mr. President?
It's hot as heck back here. I hate Texas. Help, help, I've been shot in. Put your hands up, we have you surrounded. Come back here. Give me that gun. This is why we need gun control, kids. Get up.
Well, nation, we will keep you updated on this tragedy. But in other news, 500 are now dead in Libya as a monstrous earthquake destroys the village of Marseille.
I am getting word now that as Oswald was being transferred to prison by police, a man by the name of Jack Ruby pulled a gun and shot the man that led the world. Stop. I'm Jack Ruby, here to shoot you because it's my civilian duty and I have no other motives. Bang! Bang! Lee Harvey Oswald is now dead. I know I won't go to prison forever. Bang. Ruby is said to be a somewhat normal citizen, like the rest of us, with a few exceptions. This man is said to own a strip joint, which could be a key piece of evidence to his motives.
And that brings us to our segment known as Today's Talkers.
Tim, we all know the perfunctory associated with these businesses that could possibly be linked to special interest groups, you know.
Yeah, Jay, that is absolutely correct. We could be looking at a wide-scale conspiracy with possible mob affiliations, which is scary.
Absolutely. With a crime as vital to the nation as this, it is very easy to pass up the claims of Ruby that he was just doing his civilian duty.
Hey, we may never know, but there's still evidence coming in every minute.
Precisely, Tim. I am now getting word that Oswald, the suspect, has an obscure past. He attempted to join the Soviet Union, if you can believe it, and they said he was too crazy to come in.
Well, I guess it takes crazy to know crazy.
There are hundreds of conspiracies just pouring in, from associations with the KGB, the Mafia, even a second shooter, as our field reporter Jay Alpert reported in the field at the grassy knoll in Texas.
One very interesting point of fact is the recently fired leader of the CIA, John Witten, has jumped on this case. JFK took his job away, so we may be looking into a government conspiracy theory as to why this case has become so misguided and so out of hand.
Absolutely. Well, that about wraps it up for the greatest news broadcast in humanities.
We'll see you tomorrow with more news about the growth of the economy and also Mr. LeConte's hair.
Have a great evening, and good night.
Good night. Welcome
to the show. Hello.
Thank you guys for coming. Good evening.
So Tim, we've got a lot to talk about today. The Civil Rights Act was just finally established yesterday. So being the expert, how do you think JFK, his death, and his influence played in the establishment of the act?
Well, Jay, as you saw towards the end of JFK's presidency, he got more involved in the civil rights movement. The common interpretation that JFK had political reservations is true, but as strikes and boycotts progressed, JFK knew equality was an ideal in the near future. When the Civil Rights Act was present in Congress, they saw it as a notion towards JFK's and his dedication to change. So I believe the Civil Rights Act was passed as a thank you or dedication to JFK.
That's interesting. I never looked at it like that. If you had to name a few important leaders of the Civil Rights Movement or a few events that gave way to the Civil Rights Act, what or who would it be and why?
Well, Jay, let's start off with first, without a doubt, Martin Luther King Jr. was the most beneficial person in the whole movement, obviously. His ability to captivate and motivate thousands of people pales in comparison to other leaders of the time. As for some of the events that I thought shifted the course of the movement, that was displayed in the Birmingham, Alabama, with Miss Rosa Parks.
Right.
When Mrs. Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus and was forced in jail, Martin Luther King Jr. and the other civil rights activist leaders used this discrimination event as a rallying flag for the movement. In order to desegregate the buses, blacks refused to take the city buses and walk to places, causing the city's public officials to desegregate public buses.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was a major influential event.
I know what you kids like. Kellogg's brand Pop-Tarts. Tasty, crispy, crunchy, fruity, delicious Pop-Tarts. A delicious treat that the whole family can enjoy. Old Timmy Boy loves his Kellogg's brand Pop-Tarts. Keep eating those Pop-Tarts if you want to grow up to be big and tall like Timmy, Jay. Pop-Tarts are just the snack to make good days great. Kellogg's brand Pop-Tarts by Kellogg's.
Welcome back to the studio. We're live at Jay and Tim's Newscast. So Jay, I know you are an expert on JFK. Can you tell us a little bit about his early life?
So, as you may know, JFK, John F. Kennedy, was a liberal president. He was raised in Boston as a devoted Catholic.
Very interesting. Now that Kennedy has been assassinated, how do you think Lyndon B. Johnson will carry out his progressive agenda?
Well, first off, Tim, Johnson was chosen as JFK's VP because he really trusted him to aid in this crucial and difficult debate on civil rights. There's no doubt in my mind that Johnson will work with activists such as Martin Luther King Jr. to help pass legislation as well as just set the tone for race equality in this nation.
Thank you, Expert Jay. Alright guys, welcome back to the studio. As you know, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. recently gave a speech in Detroit to promote civil rights activism. This was not unlike many of his other speeches, as it was from the heart with a whole lot of compassion and pride. We are going to bring you highlights of Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech right now.
And here it is.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit together.
Okay, now that we have discussed some aspects of the civil rights movement, Tim is going to share some of the legislation that has been passed. Tim?
Alright, I'm going to delve into some of the bills that were established in the Civil Rights Act. First off, the voting rights, which prevents unequal application of voter registration. Next is public accommodations, which outlaws discrimination in hotels, restaurants, theaters, and all other public accommodations engaged in interstate commerce. Title III permitted Justice Department suits to secure desegregation of certain public facilities. Title IV deals with desegregation of public education, which encourages the desegregation of public schools. Title V addresses procedures for the Commission and broadens its duties. Title VI authorized but did not require withdrawal from federal funds from programs which practice discrimination. Title VII outlaws discrimination in employment in any business exceeding 25 people. Title VIII directed the Census Bureau to collect registration and voting statistics based on race, color, and national origin, but it provided that individuals could not be compelled to disclose such information. Title VI made reviewable in high federal courts, in action of federal district courts, in remanding a civil rights case to state court, and lastly, Title X created the service aid communities in resolving disputes relating to discriminatory practices.
Alright, thanks, Tim. I'd like to end our program with a quote by John F. Kennedy that pulls together not only his legacy, but the legacy of the civil rights movement and of this nation. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Thank you. And good
Thank
night.
you, and good night.
Work it, make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
That don't kill me.
Such great stories.
In other news, the country of Afghanistan has been founded in Kabul, January 1st, 1965. I'm sure we won't experience any issues with them in the near future.
Okay, in in 3, 2, 1.
Alright guys, welcome back to the studio. Jay has some news to give us.
Yes, we are getting some breaking news from the
Bridget,
studio.
stop talking! Are you even listening to me, Bridget?
I'm a new soul. I came to this strange world hoping I could learn a bit about how to give and take. But since I came here, I felt the joy and the fear, finding myself making every possible mistake. La 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 la.
One.
Alright guys, welcome back to the studio. As you know, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. recently gave a speech in Detroit to promote civil rights activism. This was not unlike many of his other speeches, as it was from the heart with a whole lot of compassion and pride. We are going to bring you highlights of Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech right now.
And here it is.